Hey guys, it's Nickbo. This is a tutorial for the InvadedLandsEvents plugin. I'm going to be going through everything you need to know, along with how to use the commands and what permissions you need to give your players. So just know all this is subject to change as time goes on with the plugin, but this should just give you a general idea on how to configure everything. So if you want to watch it all, you can do that, or if you have a specific question in mind, you can look at the description for the timestamps. So the first section we're going to be looking over is general. So you're going to want to do this first just because every event uses it, and if you don't do it first, it's probably going to break something. So the first section here is host seconds. This is basically how many seconds until the event starts after it's hosted. So I'm just going to keep it at 60 because that's what Invaded uses. So set it to 60 here. So next one is win command. This is basically the command that's run on every player that wins the event. So if you want to give them a key, you'd do it here, but I don't have the creates plugin installed, so I'm just going to use giving them this diamond as an example. So give winner what? Yeah. So the next section is event world. So this is the world that the events are hosted in. I don't have another world, so I'm just going to set it to world because that's what the default one is. But if you had another world that you wanted to host them in, you'd set it here. So allowed commands are basically all the commands that players can use when they're in the event. Any command that's not on this list, it'll just block it. So you're going to want to make sure that you have everything in here. So you can see there's some that are already there because you obviously need event when you're in the event because yeah. So if you want to add one, just say add and then the command name. So ban, whatever. And you can see it's added. And if you wanted to remove it, you would just do remove. Yeah. So the last section here is the spawn. So this is a location. So basically wherever you're standing when you set it is where it gets set to. So if you wanted them to spawn, say right here for instance, you would just general spawn like that. That's it. So the next one we're going over is Sumo. Okay, so all the Sumos are basically the same. It's just I allowed that you can configure them all separately, just in case you wanted different maps for the different team sizes. But I'm just going to show you how to do 1v1, and it just applies to all the other ones. So every event you configure has these three sections: enabled, min players, and spec. They're pretty self-explanatory, but enabled is just whether the event is enabled or not. You can see that, say if an event's disabled, it'll tell you when you're trying to host it. So for this, we're obviously going to want to enable it. So just enable it here. Min players is how many players you need for the event to start. I'm just going to keep it at 2 because it's fine. But if you want more players to have to join it for it to start, then just set it here. So the spectate location, I'm just going to set it over here. But it's the same as, it's just a location, so wherever you're standing, it'll set. So, spec. And there's 2 start locations here. So, you're probably going to want to line up these locations better when you're doing it, but I'm just doing it fast because it doesn't really matter. So, start 1 and start 2. And the last value here is the min y. So basically this is the minimum y they can be at before they get eliminated. So you're probably just going to set it a few blocks under the start locations. So the start location is 177. So for this I'm just going to do min y, like 174. Let's make it a few under. And yeah, that's it for Sumo. The next section we're going over is brackets. Yeah. Okay, so brackets here. So same thing as Sumo, just enable it. I'm going to keep the min players the same, like last time. This one also has a spectate location. So we're just going to set the spectate to here. And there's 2 start locations, just like Sumo. So I set 1 here. And the other start location is right here. And that's it for brackets. So we're doing King of the Hill now. So you can pick King of the Hill. This one definitely has a few more than what brackets had, but it's all basically the same idea. We're just gonna enable it. Min players, that can stay the same, that's fine. Set the spectate location. And there's 4 start locations. So start 1, start 2, start 3, and finally start 4. So this one actually has a region. You're gonna want to make sure you do this right, or else it just won't even let you start it. So basically the region for this event is wherever the players are standing. Like if they're standing in it, they'll be capturing the point. So obviously on this map, it's pretty obvious that you want the capture point to be here. So we're just gonna make the region. Oh yeah, okay. So RG create. You can name it whatever you want. KOTH. You just want to make sure that it's the same as what you're setting in cap region. So since I named it KOTH, I'm gonna change the cap region to KOTH. Like that. Yeah. So time limit seconds is how many seconds they have until the event ends by itself. For King of the Hill, it's just gonna make whoever's in the lead win the event. But for other events like Race of Death, it's just gonna make no one win. So you want to give them enough time so that someone has a chance to win, but if they're stalling it, it's just gonna end in time, so it's not taking like 10 minutes. So I'll just set it to 250 seconds, probably enough. But you can always change this later if you notice that no one's ever winning. So the next one here is win points. This is just how many points they have to reach until they win the event. So if you're noticing that no one's ever winning, you're just gonna want to set it lower. But Invaded uses 60, so I'll just keep it at 60 here. But if you ever want to change it, obviously you just set it to whatever you want. I'm just gonna keep it at 60. And yeah, so the next one is LMS. So for LMS, use the same map as brackets. Obviously, you can make your own maps, but yeah. So LMS. So we're gonna want to enable it. I'm gonna keep the min players the same. It's fine. Set your spectate location. And there's 2 start locations. So start 1 and start 2. So this one has a time limit, seconds as well, just like King of the Hill, except it doesn't. It only makes it makes no one win when it runs out. So you want to give enough time so that at least someone's winning. So, like when this is hosted, unlike Invaded where no one ever wins, you can just make this a little bit higher. So I have it at 300, but if you're noticing that no one's ever winning, just make it higher. So 400, whatever. And yeah, that's it for LMS. So the next one we're going to be going over is one in the chamber. Alright, so one in the chamber. So this one has a lot of start locations. You're definitely going to want to make the map bigger than this. I'm just using the same one because I'm lazy. But, yeah. So, and make sure you set every one of these. You can't just leave one out because they're going to get teleported to 0, 0, 0 and fall through the world. So just, yeah, definitely make sure you set all these. So we're just going to enable it. I'm going to keep the minimum players the same. And set spectate again. And I'm just going to be lazy, but you're probably going to want to plan out these a bit more because people are going to be getting spawn killed if you make them too close. And if you make them too far, people aren't gonna win. So I'm just going to set them all really fast. Yeah. 5, 6, 7, and 8. Yeah, so I'll just set. Time limit seconds. Just like LMS, if the time runs out, no one wins. But one of the chambers usually go fast, so you shouldn't have to worry about it. Time limit seconds. Yeah, I'll just put 350, but you can make it whatever you want. Usually these games will finish fast, just because it's a fast game mode. But yeah, so win points, just like King of the Hill, it's whatever, like however many points the player has to reach for them to win. Invaded uses 20, but I don't know. If you have a small server, you might want to make it lower. Or if you're noticing games are just ending way too fast, just make it higher. Whatever you want. So yeah, let's make it 20. And yeah, so that's it for one in the chamber. the next one we're going to be going over is, RedRover. Okay, so doing RedRover. Okay. This one's a little more complicated than some of the other events we've seen, but it's the same idea. So enable it. You keep the min players the same. Set its spectate location. Spec. The start. So if you read econfig, you'll see that RedRover, the start is always on the blue side. So make sure you make your start location on the blue side, like it says. So start there. The killer start. So make them start in the ditch where they are. And yeah, so killer start. And these two regions are really important. Basically, when the round ends, it'll check everyone who's not standing in the right region. So if they have to run the red and someone's not in the red region, it's going to eliminate them. So you're going to want to make sure this region is set up properly. So I'm going to create my region here. RG create RedRover -red. Oops. Already made it, but yeah. So make it the red region and RG create RedRover. I assume I've already made this region too. Yeah. And yeah. So that's it for the regions. Make sure that whatever you name them, they're the same for the regions here. And if you want a safe location, I know a couple of maps ago on Invaded, there was some safe locations. Like here, for instance, if you wanted people not to be able to get hit, World Guard can override it. So just make a region, red, safe, whatever, it doesn't matter, and just set the flag red-safe PvP deny. Oops, deny. And yeah, so whenever they're standing in this region, they're not going to be able to get hit. And you can do the same for the blue side, but you don't really need a safe location. It's kind of, if you're back here, you're probably not going to get hit into the ditch, so if you want to add that, you can, but it's obviously optional. Okay, so let's get to the spot, but race of death, just enable it, keep the min players the same, unless you want more, obviously. Spectate location, let's map it right here. Spec, the start location, put it right in front. That. So this one's win region is actually, it's basically once they stand in it, they're gonna win. So obviously just make it at the end of your parkour. Just gonna set it here. RG create, I don't know, win rod, doesn't matter. Obviously just make sure you have it the same name for the win region. So win rod. Time limit seconds. This one is just whenever it runs out, no one's gonna win. So don't make it too low, or else no one's ever gonna win. Make it high enough to the point where if no one can beat the parkour, it's gonna end the event. So 300 seconds sounds fine, but I'll change it to 320, doesn't matter. And yeah, that's Race of Death. The next one we're going to be doing is Spleef. So, Spleef. There's a couple things I want to go over before I show you how to configure it. It's really important that you do this event right, because if you forget to set one of the snow regions and you set another one, it's going to set every block from 0, 0 to wherever you set the second one to snow. So your entire map might just be turned to snow. Definitely make sure, like, triple check that you have these values set in right. And yeah. And the other thing, the way that Minecraft works is whenever you place a block, the blocks and the chunks lighting values will all be updated. So you're going to want to make your Spleef region above void and low down, like as low as you can go, because if you make it too high up, you're going to notice that the second you host Spleef, the entire server is going to lag. Really not much you can do about this, other than making it as low as you can. So, yeah. So, Spleef, you're going to want to enable it. Keep the minimum players the same. Spectate location. Just like this. Spec. There's 2 start locations on here. Start 1 and start 2. So the 2 snow values. So for blocks, the way that it works for setting them is whatever block you're standing on is going to be what's set. So it just subtracts 1y from you. So snow 1 is here, and snow 2 is there. And time limit seconds, basically when this runs out, no one wins, just like Race of Death. So make it high enough, but Spleefs usually end in time, so you don't really have to worry about it. It's fine. And another thing you're going to want to do is make sure they have permission to break blocks. Because if you have a global flag for turning off block breaking, it's not going to let them break blocks in here. So RG create Spleef break whatever, and flag Spleef break build allow and block break allow. I already made a Spleef, but yeah, so you can see that they can break blocks and they can build, which is perfectly fine. So that's what you're going to want. And yeah, that's it for Spleef. So the next one we're going to be going over is TDM. Okay, so TDM. Pretty straightforward, this one. Gotta get up there first. Okay, yeah, use this map. So obviously you're gonna enable it. Keep min players the same, that's fine. Spec location here. And there's 2 starts. So there's the blue team start and the red team start. So obviously on this map, it's pretty obvious where people start. We're gonna make blue start here and red start And yeah, that's it for TDM. That one's pretty simple. We'll be going over TNT Tag next. Okay, so for TNT Tag, this one's really simple as well, actually. Just enable it. Keep the min players the same. That's fine. Yeah. For spectate, just same as always. Set your spectate location and then your start location. So yep, that's it. So we're doing Waterdrop next. This one's a little more complicated, so okay. So Waterdrop, you're gonna want to enable it. Set the min players the same if you want. Spectate location. And then your start. So have them looking forward. You can start them wherever you want. Just make sure it's high enough. Okay, and then so you need the these two are blocks, just like Spleef, but you need it to be a 5x5 area for it to work, or else it just won't let you host it. So if you want, say, the water and redstone to start up here, then make your the layer under it wall signs like this. And just like last time, whatever block you're standing on is what it sets. So you can pick Waterdrop, forget what it's called, water 1, and water 2. And okay, so this is a region. So basically, when they land here, whenever they land, it checks if they're standing in the safe region. So you want your region to be big enough so that if they fall this way, it'll still count them. So I'm just gonna set it from all the way up here to down here. So I'm just gonna go RG create Waterdrop. Let's see if I probably already named one that, yeah. So RG redefine. I can spell redefine Waterdrop safe. So that should work. And yeah, so when the round starts, it'll set the water correctly. And yeah, that's it for Waterdrop. So the next one we're going over is Wool Shuffle. Alright, so Wool Shuffle, this one's really simple. Obviously enable it. Min players that can be kept the same. Set its spectate location. And set its start location. And yeah, that's it for Wool Shuffle. Alright, so the other commands are reload, which basically, for some reason, if you ever change the config from disk, which I wouldn't recommend because it doesn't really make sense from the file, but for some reason if you do it, for those changes to be registered, you need to run this command, so it puts it from disk. And anytime you change any of the messages, you're going to want to run this command as well. So help, yeah, it's going to show this tutorial video, which is probably how you found it. And the last command here is just info. This will just help if you have a bug and you need help with something. It'll help us with getting the version name, and it just shows you a little info about the plugin here. And yeah, so if you want to change any message in this plugin, you're gonna have to do it from messages.yml. So just for an example, we have a disabled event here. So if you try to host it, it'll send them that event is currently disabled. Try to, all right. Say you wanted to change that message. So you'd go to your server control panel or whatever you're using. I'm just using server.pro just for an example. But you'd go to messages.yml and look for the message you're doing. So event disabled, this is the one I want to change. So let's say you just wanted to change it to, I don't know, you can't. You need to use two apostrophes if you use an apostrophe, just because it'll cancel out the other one. So you can't host an event that is disabled. There. So obviously after you change this, you just save it and reconfigure reload, but any information you need to know about the message, like if there's a special case like this one, you need to make sure that you keep this at 5 messages just because of the way it works. So this lets you change the scoreboard titles. The max length is 32 characters. Probably in a later version will allow configuring the scoreboards themselves, not just the titles, but yeah, just for now you can only do the titles. So since we changed that, I'm going to save it, and then if it's open, okay, so we'll do econfig reload. It reloads the message, and when you try hosting it again, it changes the message. And that's it. So that's all it is. Change a message. And yeah. Okay, so I'll just be going over all the permissions in this plugin. Just starting with this one. This is defaulted to ops, so it just gives them every permission in the plugin. Yeah, so it gives them all these. I'll be going over what these do. So command bypass, this lets the player bypass command restrictions in the event. So every command that's not in the allowed commands list gets blocked, but if they have the permission, they bypass that. So event config just lets them use econfig like to configure every event. Event.star gives them all these permissions, which I'll be going over. Force send lets them force send the event. So you probably want to give that to your moderators and admins and whoever you want, like any of your staff, because if an event gets glitched, or I don't know, you just need to force send the event, then you can give this to them. This permission you definitely want to give your players. It lets them join, leave, spectate, see event info, and host the event. So it's definitely, I just grouped it in a permission like this, but you can always give them to individual permissions, but I just put it like this just so it's easier. But yeah, so event join lets them run /event join. Event leave lets them leave. Spectate lets them spectate. Info lets them see the current events info. Host lets them open the host GUI or host an event, but this doesn't mean they can host every event. They need to have this permission, and they need to have the individual's events permission. If you want to give them every event and let them bypass the cooldown, give them this permission here. I don't know if you want to give it to your moderators, or if you want to give it to like the top rank or something, whatever you want to do with it. It just lets them host everything and have no cooldown for the event. So this gives them every event, but they can't bypass the cooldown. And obviously this permission just lets them bypass event cooldowns. And yeah, so pretty sure these are all self-explanatory. It's just the individual events hosting permission. So just going over it again, if you want them to be able to host an event, you need to give them this permission to allow them just to have like the base host permission. And you also need to give them that event's permission. And yeah, that's it. In the last section here, I'll just talk about the event commands that players are going to have. Okay, so I'm going to go over the last commands that I haven't talked about yet. Your players are probably going to have access to all of these, well, except for force end, but so I'm actually just going to set the host seconds to high number just so the event doesn't start on us. But yeah, so click to join is the exact same as event join. You can either click it or join it. I'll just type this out, whatever. Joins the event, leave event, and event leave are exactly the same as well. So event leave, leaves the event spectate, spectates the event, event info shows the current event's info. Force sends the event. So to show an example of what it looks like, if people are in the event and you run event force send, it stops the event. And yeah, that's about it. Yeah. Okay. So as of now, this plugin only works with 1.8 to 1.8.8. That might change in the future. Yeah, but thank you for downloading this. If you guys like it, be sure to leave a nice review. That'd be really nice. If you have any more questions, you can always join the Discord. It's going to be in the description. Or any bug reports. I'll just put that in the Discord. Yeah, so thanks everyone. And